This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming. Warning: vulgarity awaits.
What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, and today I'm back with my third Q&A. Today we'll be answering questions you guys asked in my previous two videos, and we'll cover topics like the console wars, virtual reality, the gaming community, and of course some Borderlands and Fallout questions as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our first question here, and that is going to be from Ethan Armstrong, and he asks, why don't you play PS4? Well, I don't have a PS4 or Xbox One because I primarily game on my PC or Wii U. At the beginning of this console generation, I decided to get a PC because most of the big third-party games that are coming out are multi-platform, and 99% of the time, the PC version is the best version. There's also the advantage of being able to run all games at 60 FPS, and it's a lot easier to record videos from a PC screen than it is to get capture cards and fool with that. The only 8th gen console that I do have right now is the Wii U, as it provides a much different set of experiences than the PC, PS4, and the Xbox One. I've enjoyed games like Bayonetta 2, Wonderful 101, Mario, Devil's Third, Lego City Undercover, and there's also Sonic Lost World that I thought was actually fairly good, despite its kind of lousy Metacritic score. It's sort of a shame that the Wii U isn't doing very well, because I think it's a great game console, and I really wish that Nintendo would get their shit together and make the Wii U better or something. Although I guess the name for Wii U does kind of suck, so there's that. Again, at the same time, I feel like I am missing out a little bit on some of the Xbox One and PS4's exclusive titles. Like, I would have liked to have picked up Bloodborne for PS4, maybe The Last of Us Remastered. I know for Xbox One I would want to play Halo 5, Rare Replay, Sunset Overdrive, and there are also a lot of cool upcoming games like Recore, Scalebound, Quantum Break, and for PS4 specifically, I'm looking forward to Hideo Kojima's new project, whatever the hell that is. I'll probably end up with a PS4 and Xbox One at some point, as a lot of the AAA multi-plat titles have had a tendency to get released on consoles first, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate and maybe Dark Souls 3, we'll see. Our next question comes from James Platt, and he asks, what are your goals for 2016? Most of my goals this year revolve around YouTube. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have 10 times the number of views per day that I'm getting now, and more than 20,000 subscribers. At least that is what I'm shooting for. I've been doing a lot of Borderlands content for the last 2 years, and I want to expand on that even more and go beyond just Borderlands and Fallout videos. I'm currently looking forward to the possibility of making videos on Dark Souls 3, the new upcoming Mass Effect game, which, EA, Doom 4, and Dishonored, to just name a few. I think in 2016, like 2015, is going to be another good year for my channel, and in the end, I guess we'll just have to see. Now we have question 3, asked by Tyson Holloway, and he asks, what's your favorite video game series? I'd say my two favorite game series right now are Fallout franchise, and the Borderlands franchise. I've got the most playtime on my Steam account on Borderlands 2, Borderlands the PreSequel, Fallout 4, and Fallout New Vegas. I don't have Fallout 3 for PC. When I was a bit younger, I really liked Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Series, and I'd argue that the pinnacle of that franchise was Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube. I played Brawl, and honestly, I thought it really sucked. The characters were too floaty, the pacing of the game was really slow compared to Melee, and they added Final Smashes, which I just thought was retarded. I've heard good things about the new Smash games for 3DS and Wii U though, and maybe I'll pick those up because the DLC characters, Cloud, Roy, Ryu, and Bayonetta, look pretty cool. I also am looking forward to sequels and prequels for Dark Souls, Mass Effect, Doom, Wolfenstein, and Dishonored. Our fourth question comes from SCP-1048 Builder Bear, and he asks, what are your thoughts and opinions on season passes? Worst gaming fan base on YouTube? boxers or briefs? So I'll answer your last question first and say I prefer boxers. As for season passes, I've generally had pretty good experiences with season passes. Borderlands 2's season pass was pretty good. It included 4 campaigns with like a lot of new weapons, levels, and enemies to kill. Borderlands, the pre-sequels, wasn't as good and only included 2 characters, Claptastic Voyage and then Holodome. But I've looked at the past for Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Their season passes were fairly good, even though a lot of the DLC for New Vegas wasn't as good as Fallout 3's. But for that reason, I haven't picked up the Fallout 4 season pass, because I'm simply waiting to see what the first DLC is, and then I'll probably buy the season pass. And really, it depends on the developer. I'd say Gearbox, 2K, Bethesda generally have pretty good season passes. As far as the worst gaming fan base on YouTube goes, that's pretty tough. I'd say there are a lot of really toxic gaming communities out there, and I couldn't name one that was just absolutely the worst. Although I will say, like, there are certain cliques in the Borderlands and Dark Souls community that are very resistant to video game mods, and honestly, I think that's a shame, because mods for the PC version of Dark Souls 1 made that game playable on PC and vastly superior to the console versions. That game, it's possible to run it at 4K 60 frames per second because it's optimized very well, and I mean, it's sick when you up-res it like that. Mods for Borderlands 2 also kept me playing long after I beat the initial game, and it was fun to mess around with and tweak guns. Like, you could make shotgun Mongols, infinite Norfleets, and like Nukem pistols. It sucks, but you know, it is what it is. Our 5th question comes from Terry W., and he asks, do you think VR games will take off, or will it be a bit of a failure like 3D televisions? I think virtual reality gaming might take off eventually, but I don't think it will be Oculus, HTC/Valve, or maybe even Sony leading the charge. Sony, although I will say, has the best chance because Sony does understand the video game industry, and they know how to, or at least know how to hire people to make good software. And of course, that brings us into my whole thing about VR gaming and whether it'll be a thing or not. And the problem, I think, is that Oculus isn't a game company and is more focused on the features of its hardware than the actual kick-ass software you're going to play on their hardware. And I think even Valve and HTC are kind of in the same thing and the same boat. The fact is, Valve hasn't developed a new game since Dota 2 in 2013, and really Valve's, like, I would argue, golden era was like 2003 to 2007, where they put out Day of Defeat, Counter-Strike Source, Half-Life 2, Half-Life Episode 1 and 2, Half-Life 2, Episode 1 and 2, I'm sorry. And then Sony's problem is that they're running out of money, and the current PS4 is not really powerful enough to make VR gaming possible. And I think, and I could be totally wrong on this, so feel free to correct me, but I believe you have to, in order to use the Oculus Rift, you have to have like a GTX 970, which is about a $400 graphics card. And that's just the graphics card. I don't even know what the Oculus Rift costs. You're probably looking at about $800 to get into VR gaming. And if there aren't a lot of really good software titles out, I mean, it's just going to die. It'll be like the Panasonic 3DO, Philips CDI levels. At the same time, though, maybe the PlayStation 5, I mean, if it's on par with a lot of these new GPUs that are coming out, or really just came out last year, I mean, it could definitely happen. I mean, you could have VR gaming that's very affordable. I mean, 4K TVs, I mean, are getting close. I mean, I'd say in the next 2-3 years or so, everyone is going to have a 4K TV. And, I mean, gaming in 4K will be a thing. All right, I've been taking a while on some of these questions. They've been pretty good. I am going to answer these next couple questions, but I'm going to answer them a little fast. Question number 6 is AAA Army, and he asks, Vinylic Puma, where did the pile of fuck phrase start from? And keep up the good work. Well, it did start in May or April of last year, and I wanted to do something different and more interesting with the channel, so I kind of started emulating the angry video game nerd, and of course, I didn't want to use all the same phrases like, what a shitload of fuck, so I came up with what a pile of fuck, what a boatload of ice, and various other phrases, and telling lewd yo mama jokes here and there. Question number 7 comes from Pyro Otter, and he asks, in Borderlands 2, what are your favorite weapons company and type of weapon? That's going to be Vladoff, because really I think assault rifle, pistols, snipers, and rocket launchers are all automatic, and they're all relatively accurate and deal a decent amount of damage. And really, Vladoff has an amazing lineup of both unique, legendary, and regular weapons. Of course, the Infinity Pistol, Anarchist Pistol, Droog Sniper, Topnia, Layuta, Mongol, Lead Storm, the Hail and Kitten, and of course the Machine, and many more. As for my favorite weapon type, it's probably going to be sniper rifles. Now we have question number 8 from Anster700, and he asks, what's your favorite and or best gun in Fallout 4? Honestly, I think my favorite is the minigun, and specifically with the legendary effect that's either explosive, two-shot, or wounding. The minigun is incredible in my opinion, as is the missile launcher when you have the auto-targeting computer and like a two-shot effect, because you can pretty much kill anything in like 1 or 2 hits. And I also really like plasma weapons, as they're very versatile. You can create everything from pistols, automatic rifles, like scattergun, like shotgun weapons, flamethrowers, and even automatic rifles. Generally, though, it's just whatever ammo I have. And question 9 comes from Z-Freak, and that is, what Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel guns, nades, shields, etc. do you consider to be staples for any class build? In Borderlands 2, it's going to be the Norfleet, Sandhawk, Unkempt Herald, Grog Nozzle, B-Shield, and Sham Shield. You can pretty much beat the game with all 6 of those items. For the pre-sequel, I'm going to say it's Kanada's Laser, Shield of Ages, the Absolute Zero or Laserdiscer, the Hail Assault Rifle, the Phrygia, and maybe a standard cryo grenade to freeze enemies well. Otherwise, you could pretty much use whatever you want. And finally, we have question number 10 from Soviet Films, and that's going to be Vinylic Puma. Do you think the Enclave will be returning in Fallout 4 as that future DLC? And when he's referring to that, he's referring to the underwater rumored DLC. Now, I think it's definitely possible, as the Enclave did have an oil rig in Fallout 2, so they do have some like working knowledge of like, I guess, water, or at least oil and plumbing to some degree. I really hope it is the Enclave, as we need another technologically superior faction in the Commonwealth to just like fight or join or conspire with. Even if the Enclave isn't in the underwater DLC, I really hope they do show up at least one time in one of the DLCs to some capacity, as I think that would be pretty cool. Anyway, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. This was a fairly long Q&A, so I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't get your question answered, I'm going to go back through the comments of the last 2 videos, and I'm going to answer some of the questions here and there, so don't worry about that. But again, thanks for watching. As always, take care, and I'll see you all next time.